In 1966, Huey P. Newton and Bobby G. Seale founded the Black Panther Party, a more violent civil rights movement in response to what they viewed as a passive approach that many leaders took. This produced conflict between not only the police, but those in the civil rights fight. Although most opposed their policy, no one can dispute that they were a major factor in the effort for equal black rights. As I mentioned previously, Huey P. Newton and Bobby G. Seale founded a radical black supremacist party called the Black Panther Party. A huge influx of black Americans moved to Los Angeles because of the dwindling segregation laws. In large part, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale were inspired by the efforts of Malcolm X. Malcolm had a troubled childhood. He ran into a burglary problem as he was trying to scrape enough money together to buy drugs. Most thought of him as a violent criminal, but over time, his views changed. He endorsed education and self-defense. His assassination was what provoked Huey Newton and Bobby Seale to found the Black Panther Party in 1966 in hopes of changing civil rights forever. The co-founder of the Black Panther Party, Huey Newton, is commonly thought to be a man with the spirit of a tiger. Mr. Newton was born on February 17, 1942. He thought of himself differently than most of the public did. Upon introspection, he found he was shy and not the least bit charismatic. He hated microphones and stages. Huey's principles were strongly influenced by his father. His father was extremely opinionated on the topic of equality. One key story that he remembered came from when one of his father's closest friends joined the police force. This man was one of the first blacks to join the police force, but there was one problem. This man was only allowed to arrest blacks. Huey Newton's counterpart, Bobby Seale, was born on October 22, 1936. As a boy, he was troubled by poverty. School was never a strong suit, and he eventually dropped out. He then joined the Air Force as a sheet metal mechanic. Eventually, he went back to college to become an engineering draftsman. 1 year after college, he created the Black Panther Party with Huey Newton. He started the Black Panther Party in hopes of ending police brutality. The organization originally began by taking in criminals. Eventually, Bobby Seale's views changed drastically. He reformed the party, banishing all criminals. Still, the party held many of its fundamental beliefs. This is what eventually led him to resignation from the party. Although Huey Newton and Bobby Seale founded the party, there were many more members keeping the party on the rise. Among them sits H. Rap Brown, Stokely Carmichael, Eldridge Cleaver, Cornel West, and George Clemens. The Black Panther Party formed its party around the Black Panther Manifesto. The manifesto, or the 10-point plan, was a list of demands that the organization had. To summarize, they wanted freedom, full employment, no deprivation of needs, suitable homes, education, and the ability to stay out of the military. They also demanded freedom for all their race that were held in prison, all of their people to be rightfully tried by a jury, and the entitlement to basic needs. Their most fought-for principle was the ending of police brutality. Rightfully or wrongfully, they believed that the police were trying to discriminate and kill the black race. This idea was what fueled most of their rallies. Unlike more popular civil rights activists, including Martin Luther King Jr., they took a violent approach where they didn't take no for an answer. In many of their protests, every single person was armed and threatened to kill. The Black Panther Party was not a peaceful movement, to say the least. They used lingo that paralleled police to pigs, and on many occasions killed those who disagreed. On one instance, the Black Panther Party was charged with conspiracy. They were planning to blow the New York Botanical Gardens up, as well as the shops around it. One influential leader of the party, H. Rap Brown, incited a riot that burned down shops of white people that sat in a predominantly black neighborhood. The Black Panther Party was also known for patrolling streets armed and following police cars around. Although some were, not all of their rallies were violent. One of the largest rallies brought hundreds into a Sacramento block fully armed. They closed down the whole block and were in complete compliance with gun laws. The police flew helicopters, but they could not do anything about the rally because it wasn't breaking the law. Another large protest, seen in this photo, was a rally to free Huey P. Newton from prison after charges against him were believed to be false by black advocates. As the Black Panther Party was on the decline, the youth of California lacked a positive influence. This caused Raymond Washington to rally the youth behind him, and at just 15 years old, he created the gang the Bayview Avenues. These youth would eventually transition this gang into the modern-day Crips, one of the biggest gangs in America. The Black Panther Party had an immense influence and impact on civil rights, whether they were positive or negative. They fought for the modern America, but in a more conflicting way than most would have hoped. They killed and injured many and clashed with society, but some could argue that for every police officer they killed, many more black people were saved. But that is for you to decide.